The night was cold and heavy with rain. Neon lights flickered across the narrow streets of Neo City 9. People rushed under umbrellas, faces hidden behind digital masks. The city was always busy, always loud. But tonight something felt strange. Somewhere in the shadows, a small cry echoed, a sound almost too soft to notice. Ilara, a young human woman with tired eyes, was walking home after a long shift at the repair shop. Her boots splashed in puddles, her jacket torn at the sleeve. She just wanted to reach home, heat some soup, and forget the day, but then she heard it again, a weak, broken sound, like someone whispering for help. She stopped in the dark corner of an alley. Between two trash bins, she saw a small figure. At first, she thought it was a child, but when the lightning flashed, she saw its skin shimmer like liquid metal. Glowing blue lines ran across its body, and its eyes flickered with fear. Ilara froze. It wasn't human, it was something else. An alien, thin, fragile, and trembling. Its breathing was uneven, like a dying machine trying to stay alive. Everyone knew the law. Humans were forbidden to help aliens. The Galactic Council had made it clear. Contact is contamination, they said. Anyone caught sheltering an alien was taken away, never seen again. But Ilara looked at the creature and felt something break inside her heart. The small alien tried to speak, its voice glitched. Part electronic, part alive. I can't stay, it whispered before falling silent. Ilara stepped closer, kneeling down beside it. She touched its metallic skin. It was cold. Shaking, almost lifeless, her wristband blinked red. A warning flashed in front of her eyes. Alien biosignal detected. Report immediately. She knew she should walk away. She knew one message could save her from trouble, but her heart wouldn't let her. Ilara whispered softly, "Hey, can you hear me?" The creature blinked weakly, a faint sound escaping its lips. "Please, don't tell them," it said in broken galactic common. Ilara looked around. The street was empty, but drones flew above. Scanning for lawbreakers, her pulse raced. She took off her jacket and wrapped it around the alien. "I can't leave you here," she said, her voice shaking. She picked the small body up in her arms. It was lighter than she expected, almost weightless. Its faint blue glow lit her face as she carried it through the rain. As she reached her small apartment, she hid the creature under a blanket. Her hands trembled as she tried to warm it near a small heater. The alien made a weak sound, something between pain and relief. Ilara whispered, "You're safe now. I'll help you." But deep inside, fear grew. What if someone had seen her? Outside, the city drones buzzed past her window, red lights sweeping the alleys. Ilara closed the curtains and turned off the lights. She sat beside the small creature. Watching its breathing, it looked so fragile. So lost for a long time, she just listened to the rain hitting the window. She thought about the stories the government told. They said aliens were dangerous, emotionless beings who once tried to destroy humanity. But this one didn't look dangerous. It looked scared, alone and dying. Ilara's heart ached. She spoke quietly. "I don't know who you are or where you came from, but I'll help you." The alien moved slightly, whispering one word, "Ari." Then it fell unconscious. Ilara sat still, repeating the name in her mind, Ari, the alien child she wasn't supposed to care about. She didn't know that name would soon be remembered across galaxies. Her wristband flashed again. A new message appeared. "Unauthorized biosignal traced near your location." Patrol dispatched. Ilara's eyes widened. She looked at the sleeping alien, then at her door. Somewhere outside, metal footsteps echoed closer. The sound of drones filled the air. She whispered to herself, "What have I done?" She turned off every light, grabbed her small repair tool and stood near the door. The scanner light passed across her window, red and slow. Ilara's heart beat faster with every second. She knew she had crossed a line, but she also knew she couldn't take it back. In that moment, a quiet thought came to her mind. Maybe kindness was not a rule. Maybe it was something stronger. And maybe, just maybe, that was what made humans different. The scanner light stopped, the silence returned. Ilara looked at the alien sleeping under her jacket and whispered, "You're safe now. I promise." But outside her window, a small red light blinked. A surveillance drone had locked onto her signal. Somewhere far above, in orbit, a galactic patrol ship received the alert. A calm robotic voice said, "Human contact detected. Prepare for capture." And as the night grew darker, Ilara didn't know. Her small act of kindness had just started a chain of events that would change the entire galaxy. Morning came slowly, but Alara barely noticed. The gray light from Neo City's twin suns slipped through her window, shining on the small alien lying under her old blanket. It was still breathing, but weakly. The strange blue light on its skin had dimmed. Almost gone, Alara had barely slept, afraid that any sound outside meant soldiers had come. She checked her door camera, no movement, but she knew they were searching. The Galactic Patrol never stopped once they locked onto a signal. She turned her wristband off, trying to break the tracker. Her fingers shook, her mind racing with one thought. What if they found Ari? She whispered, "Hey, wake up." As she touched the small alien's shoulder, Ari's eyes flickered open, glowing softly. Its voice came out broken but clearer than last night. "Where am I?" Alara smiled gently, trying to hide her fear. "You're safe." "For now," she said. Handing him a small cup of water, Ari looked around. Confused by the small, messy room, the walls were cracked, filled with old wires and blinking circuits. He pointed at the heater and whispered, "Human tech." "Old," Alara laughed quietly. "Yeah, like me." For a moment, she forgot about the danger outside, but when she scanned Ari's body using her medkit, her screen glitched and a holographic seal appeared. It wasn't a random code. It was the royal symbol of the Voran Empire. Alara froze. This wasn't just any alien. This was someone important. Someone the entire galaxy was probably hunting. Her breath caught. She whispered, "You're Voran." Ari nodded weakly, his eyes distant. "My people, betrayed by humans," he said slowly. Alara stepped back, guilt rising in her chest. Humans had built war machines centuries ago that turned against the Voran, burning their worlds. It was the darkest part of history, one that the government liked to erase from records. "I didn't do that," Alara said softly. "I just want to help." Ari looked at her with tired eyes. "Help? Why? You gain nothing." Alara smiled sadly. "Maybe not everything needs a price." He blinked, confused. "No one helps without reason," he whispered. Alara didn't answer. She didn't know how to explain that sometimes. Kindness didn't need logic. The door scanner beeped. Alara's heart skipped. She quickly turned off the lights, pressing Ari down gently under the blanket. Through the tiny hole in the door, she saw the red armor of a galactic patrol trooper. A cold metallic voice echoed. "Sector scan initiated." Her breath stopped. If they scanned her room, they would find Ari instantly, she whispered. "Don't make a sound!" The trooper walked past slowly, the red scanner beam sliding over her door. Alara's pulse pounded in her ears. The sound faded after a few seconds, but she knew this was only the beginning. They would search every block soon. When the silence returned, Ari sat up. "You risk your life," he said, confused. "For me?" Alara nodded. "You're not just a fugitive, are you?" He looked away, his small hands trembling. "My father was the High Chancellor. He died protecting the crystal, the heart of Voran." Alara frowned. "The heart of Voran?" Ari nodded slowly. "It powers our world. And now it is dying." Alara realized the truth. If the heart died, an entire alien race could vanish. She didn't know how to save a planet, but she knew how to fix broken things, and right now that was enough for her. Ari's body glowed again, brighter this time, but then he screamed softly. Alara saw his skin flicker with static. His system was collapsing. She grabbed her toolkit, connecting wires, running diagnostics. It was like fixing a machine, but this machine was alive. She worked fast, sweat running down her face. After a few tense seconds, Ari's breathing steadied. Alara exhaled with relief. "You'll live," she whispered. Ari opened his eyes weakly and said, "You're strange, human," Alara smiled. "You have no idea. Outside..." Loudspeakers crackled through the city. "All citizens stay indoors. Unauthorized alien contact will be punished." The voice repeated, cold and robotic. Alara's stomach twisted. She had broken the most powerful law in the galaxy, but something inside her refused to feel regret. She looked at Ari, who was watching her silently. For the first time, she saw trust in his eyes. Small but real that night. The rain returned. Alara packed a small bag. She knew she couldn't stay here anymore. They had to leave before sunrise. She opened the secret trapdoor under her bed, a tunnel that led to the old service lines beneath the city. Her father once worked there before he vanished during the last purge. It was dark and full of dust, but it was the only safe way out. She carried Ari carefully, his small frame glowing faintly against the shadows. He whispered, "Where are we going?" Ilara replied, "Somewhere safe. I hope." As they moved through the tunnels, lights flickered above them, scanners sweeping the streets. Far away, in the command ship orbiting Neo City 9, a robotic officer received an alert. Target signal reacquired. Zone 44, lower levels. Back in the tunnels, Ilara stopped suddenly. She heard metal footsteps echoing behind them. Ares' eyes widened. "They're coming." Ilara held her breath, pulling him into a narrow gap between old pipes. She could hear the faint hum of drones moving closer. Her hands clenched the repair tool tightly. She whispered, "If we survive this, you're buying me dinner." Ari blinked in confusion. Not understanding the joke, Ilara smiled tiredly. "Never mind." The tunnel lights flickered out completely. Only Ari's faint blue glow remained. Ilara held her breath. The sound of the patrol faded for now. She exhaled softly, whispering, "We made it." But deep inside, she knew this was only the beginning. The galactic law wasn't just about rules. It was built to crush mercy. And soon Ilara would learn that in this galaxy, kindness was the greatest rebellion of all. The tunnel stretched deep beneath Neo City 9, dark, silent, and endless. Ilara's footsteps echoed softly as she guided Ari through the maze of steel pipes and broken lights. Water dripped from above, mixing with the hum of old machines that hadn't worked in years. The air smelled of rust and oil, a place forgotten by the city but not by history. Ari walked weakly beside her, his small hand clutching the corner of her coat. His blue glow lit their path like a ghost light. "Where are we going?" he asked in a trembling voice. Ilara smiled faintly. "Somewhere no one looks anymore." She pressed a button on a wall panel, and a hidden metal door creaked open. Inside was a vast chamber filled with old human technology. Dust-covered terminals, broken drones, and faded screens glowed faintly when she powered them up. "This was my father's place," Ilara whispered, her voice soft. "He worked here before the Galactic Purge, when humans still built things for themselves." Ari looked around in awe. Touching the machines, "They look ancient," he said. Ilara laughed quietly. "Yeah. They're older than me." She found an old data console and brushed the dust away. The screen flickered to life, revealing rows of blueprints and secret files. Most were locked, but one opened with her father's passcode. Solace. The screen displayed something shocking. Project Helix Artificial Symbiosis Unit. Ari leaned closer, his eyes wide. "These are weapon systems," he whispered. Ilara nodded slowly. "Yes, human ones. Her father had once worked on AI weapons, machines designed to end wars. But those same machines were used against alien worlds. Including Ari's." Ilara felt sick inside. She whispered, "So we did build your nightmares." Ari looked at her. Unsure what to say, she could see pain in his eyes, but also confusion. Humans had destroyed his world, and yet one was saving him now. Ilara stared at the screen for a long time. Then she said softly, "If humans could build destruction, maybe one human can build healing." Ari tilted his head. "Healing?" She nodded. "You said your world is dying, right? Maybe we can fix it." Ari blinked. "But why help?" "We are not your kind," Ilara smiled sadly. "Maybe kindness doesn't need a reason." He didn't understand it yet, but he would. She began working, connecting old data drives, downloading ancient codes. The machines around them hummed weakly to life. Electric sparks lit the room in blue flashes. Ari watched quietly, his eyes full of curiosity. Humans, he thought, were strange, soft hearts, strong minds, unpredictable souls. As Ilara typed, a hidden system activated by itself. A faint light flickered on the wall and a hologram appeared. It was her father, a recorded message. "Ilara," the hologram said in a calm voice, "if you're seeing this, it means the world has not changed." Ilara froze, her hands trembling. Her father's hologram continued. "Project Helix was meant to create peace, not war. But the Council twisted it." He looked directly at the camera, his voice shaking. "If anyone still believes in kindness, in balance between life and machine, follow the coordinates hidden in this lab." Then the hologram faded, leaving a soft hum behind. Ari looked at Ilara. "Your father believed in peace." Ilara nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. "Yeah. And they called him a traitor for it." She pulled up the hidden coordinates. Deep space beyond the patrol zones. If the data was right, there might still be a hidden AI base there, holding technology that could restore Ari's dying world. But before she could copy the files, a red warning blinked across the screen. Unauthorized access detected. Galactic Council alerted. Alara's heart jumped. They found us, she whispered. Ari backed away, fear flashing across his glowing eyes from the shadows. A quiet mechanical whir echoed through the chamber. A red laser dot appeared on the wall, then another. Drones, at least 5, gliding silently through the tunnels. Their metal wings unfolded as they scanned the room. Alara grabbed a power wrench. Her hands shaking, Ari hid behind a crate, whispering in panic, "They'll kill you." Alara smiled slightly. "Not if I break them first." She threw a charge grenade, one her father had left behind. The explosion filled the tunnel with blue sparks. 3 drones fell, their circuits melting into smoke, but 2 remained, aiming their plasma rifles. Alara ducked behind a terminal, sparks raining around her. Her heart pounded in her chest. She shouted, "Ari, the console! Hit the green switch!" Ari hesitated, then slammed the switch with his glowing hand. Electric current surged through the floor, frying the last 2 drones instantly. Smoke filled the air, the smell of burnt metal spreading through the room. Alara coughed, falling to her knees. Ari ran to her, eyes wide. You fought for me." Alara smiled weakly. "You're heavy trouble, you know that?" Ari tilted his head, confused. Alara laughed softly. "It means you're worth it." But their victory was short-lived. Above the city, the Galactic Council's tracking signal confirmed her ID. Her face flashed on every patrol screen, labeled Human Rebel High Threat down in the tunnels. Alara didn't know that half the sector was already searching for her. She looked around the ruined lab one last time. Her father's hologram replayed for a few seconds before shutting down. Alara whispered, "I'll finish what you started." "Dad," Ari stood beside her, glowing softly in the dark. "Where will we go now?" he asked. Alara picked up a datapad and smiled faintly. "To the stars," she said, "and maybe to hope." They walked deeper into the tunnels toward an old transport port. Every step echoed with danger and destiny. And far above, in the black sky of Neo City, the Galactic Fleet turned their scanners to full power. A robotic voice spoke through the static. "Human target confirmed. Priority 1. Alara didn't hear it yet. She only knew one thing. If the galaxy wanted to call her a criminal for kindness, then she would become the most dangerous kind of criminal of all, a human who cared. The night sky above Neo City 9 burned with flashing lights. The Galactic Patrol had surrounded the sector, scanning every signal, every heat source, every trace of life. Inside the forgotten tunnels, Alara and Ari ran through clouds of steam, their breaths short, their hearts pounding. The ground shook above them as heavy ships passed low through the clouds. The hunt had begun. Alara stopped beside a sealed steel hatch. "This leads to the old spaceport," she said. Panting, Ari stared at the metal door nervously. "You mean up there?" he asked, pointing toward the sky. Alara nodded. "If we stay here, we die." Her voice was calm, but her hands trembled as she connected old wires and forced the panel open. The hatch groaned loudly, dust falling from the ceiling. Ari flinched at the sound. Alara whispered, "Quiet." But it was too late. The noise had triggered nearby motion sensors. Red lights flickered to life and a robotic voice echoed. "Unauthorized activity detected." Alara grabbed Ari's hand and ran, pulling him into the long corridor beyond the hatch. The old spaceport was massive. Rows of abandoned cargo ships lay silent. Half buried under metal dust, some were rusted, others broken open like old bones. Ilara's eyes scanned the hangar until she found one ship still intact. It was small, a short-range cargo vessel, but it looked functional. She smiled faintly. "You'll do," she whispered. Ari climbed inside first, his glowing hands lighting the dark cockpit. Alara followed, her fingers moving quickly across the control board. The ship came to life with a low hum. "Can you fly this?" Ari asked nervously. Alara smirked. "I can fix anything." Flying is just fixing in motion. He didn't understand, but he trusted her. Outside, scanners locked onto the ship's power signal. "Target confirmed," a metallic voice said through the speakers. Within seconds, 2 patrol cruisers descended, their lights bright and cold. Alara pushed the thrusters to maximum. The ship roared upward, breaking through the hangar roof. Sparks and metal rained down as they blasted into the storm-filled sky. "Hold on," she shouted. Ari gripped the seat tightly as the ship tilted and spun through laser fire. Bolts of energy flashed past, shaking the hull. Alara's hands moved fast, dodging between skyscrapers. She weaved through traffic lanes, flying low to avoid radar. Behind them, patrol ships followed like a swarm of metal wasps. "Why are they doing this?" Ari shouted. "Because they're afraid of what you are," Alara replied. "Of me?" She nodded. "You carry something powerful. Something they don't understand." He looked down, his small hands glowing faintly blue. "The heart of Vorin," he whispered. "It lives inside me now." Alara's eyes widened. "That crystal from your world, it's inside you?" Ari nodded. "My father hid it in me before the machines attacked," he said. "Kindness will protect it better than armies." Alara didn't know what to say. She had no weapon, no army, just her courage and one promise she refused to break. The ship shook violently as a patrol beam hit the tail. Smoke filled the cockpit, alarms blaring. Ari screamed as the lights flickered. Alara shouted, "We're losing power!" She slammed her fist against the console, sparks flying. "Come on, don't die now," she yelled. The engines coughed and sputtered, but refused to stop. They soared upward, breaking through the city's cloud barrier. Suddenly everything went silent below them. Neo City shrank into a cluster of glowing dots. Above, stars stretched across the blackness, cold, endless and free. Ari stared in wonder, whispering, "It's beautiful," Alara smiled. "Yeah, it always is the first time." But their peace lasted only seconds. The radar beeped. More ships closing in fast. Alara checked the navigation screen. "We need to jump to hyperspace," she said. Ari frowned. "But we don't have coordinates." Alara grinned. "We'll take the long way." She pulled the lever. The ship shuddered, lights dimming. And then, the stars stretched into blinding lines. They were gone from Neo City. They had escaped for now inside the cockpit. Only the soft hum of the ship remained. Alara slumped in her seat, exhausted. Her face was pale, her hands shaking. Ari looked at her quietly. "You risked your life again," Alara smiled faintly. "I told you I fix things." Even when it's stupid, Ari didn't laugh. He just stared at her, as if trying to understand what kind of creature humans really were. After some time, the ship's systems began to fail. Fuel levels dropped, oxygen low, navigation offline. Alara cursed under her breath. "We're out of range, and out of luck." Ari looked outside the window, pointing toward a faint silver moon. "There," he said. "We can land there." Alara checked the sensors. It wasn't on any known map. Still, it was better than dying in space. They drifted closer. The moon's surface was cracked and pale, covered in ruins. Old structures, massive stone towers, stood like ghosts of another age. The ship landed roughly, skidding across dust and rocks before stopping. Alara exhaled. "We made it." Ari looked at the ruins and whispered, "I know this place." Alara frowned. "You've been here before?" Ari nodded slowly. "My ancestors called it Kareth, the moon of memories." She stepped outside, her boots crunching on the cold ground. The air was thin, the silence deep. Stars shimmered above like frozen fire. They walked together toward the nearest structure. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls. Ari touched one and it lit up with blue energy. Alara stared amazed. "These are human symbols," she said, "but mixed with alien language." Ari turned to her. "Long ago, humans and Vorin worked together. Before the war." Alara's breath caught. "So it's true. We were once allies." Ari nodded. "Yes, and this place remembers." They walked deeper inside the ruins. The air buzzed with ancient power. At the center stood a tall stone pillar, engraved with two figures, a human woman and a small alien child. Holding hands, Alara felt a chill run through her body. Ari whispered, "This was the first bond of peace." "Before your people forgot?" Alara placed her hand on the carving, her voice trembled. "Maybe it's time someone remembered." But as the words left her lips, a faint red light appeared in the sky far above. A fleet of patrol ships entered orbit, scanning the moon. They had followed her trail. The chase wasn't over yet. Alara looked at Ari and whispered, "Get ready, little one. We fight for more than just survival now." Ari nodded, his eyes glowing brighter than ever. And somewhere deep inside the ruins, old machines began to awaken. The past was stirring again, and the galaxy was about to witness what one act of kindness could truly become. The moon of Kareth was silent. The dust shimmered faintly under the cold light of the stars. Alara stood beside Ari, staring at the ancient ruins that glowed softly in the dark. Symbols of two worlds, human and Vorin, were carved deep into every stone. It felt like standing inside a memory that had waited 1,000 years to be seen again. Ari's small hand brushed against the wall. Blue light followed his touch, forming strange glowing lines. "They built this together," he whispered. "Humans and my people," Alara nodded slowly. Then something went wrong. The wind blew softly through the broken arches. Carrying echoes of old voices, they moved deeper into the ruins. Their footsteps quiet. The air grew warmer, vibrating with faint energy. At the center of the temple stood a large circular platform covered in dust. When Ari stepped onto it, the ground began to hum. Blue light rose from beneath, swirling like fireflies in the air. A hologram appeared, tall and bright. It looked human, but its voice sounded mixed. Part machine, part soul. "I am the guardian of Kareth," it said calmly. Ari stepped back, his eyes wide. "What is this place?" The guardian's glowing eyes turned toward him. "This is the sanctuary of the promise," it replied. "The place where humans and Vorin swore peace." Ilara's heart skipped. She asked, "Peace? But there's been nothing but war." The guardian's tone darkened. "Because the promise was broken," it said. "When greed replaced compassion." The galaxy fell into silence. It looked at Ilara, scanning her face. "You are human, and yet your heart carries the code of empathy." Ilara frowned. Confused. "I don't understand," she said. The guardian extended a glowing hand toward her. "You have done what no law, no weapon, no empire could do," it said. "You showed mercy to the one your world taught you to fear." Ari watched quietly, his blue eyes reflecting the light. He whispered, "That's what my father believed. That kindness could heal what war destroyed." Ilara smiled softly. "Maybe your father was right." The guardian paused, then nodded slowly. "There is something here that may save your world," it said. It pointed to the center of the chamber, where a crystal floated above a pedestal. The crystal pulsed faintly as if alive. "This is the core of memory," the guardian continued. "It contains the last echo of the ancient energy, the same energy that powers the heart of Vorin." Ari stepped forward. Staring in awe, Ilara watched him closely. "If we can use it," she said, "we could restore your planet." But the guardian's voice grew somber. "To activate it means to reveal its signal to the stars," Ilara frowned. "You mean—" "They'll find us," the guardian nodded. "Yes. The galactic fleet will come." Silence filled the temple. Ilara looked at Ari, his small frame glowing faintly, his face full of fear and hope. He whispered, "If we don't try, my world dies." Ilara took a deep breath, her voice calm but steady. "Then we try," she said. She placed her hand on the control pad, and light surged through the room. The floor shook. Ancient machines awakened beneath the ruins. The blue glow turned white. Spreading across the entire temple, Ari's body shimmered, connecting to the energy through the heart inside him. The guardian's voice echoed through the chamber. "The promise is awakening," it said outside. The entire moon began to pulse with light, visible even from orbit in the silence of space far above. The galactic fleet saw it. Their scanners blared with warnings. "Unidentified energy surge detected on Moon Kareth," a robotic voice reported. The commander, cold and expressionless, said, "Send the fleet." Dozens of warships turned toward the moon, their engines burning like fire back in the temple. Ilara's hair blew wildly as the energy swirled around her. She shouted over the roar, "Ari, can you control it?" Ari's voice trembled. "It's alive. It's calling to me." The core pulsed faster, brighter. Ilara reached out. Trying to stabilize the console, her screen flashed red. "Overload warning." The guardian spoke again, its voice deeper now. "Only one choice remains. Release the energy to save the world, or destroy it to remain hidden." Ilara's heart pounded. She looked at Ari, who stared at her with tearful eyes. "If I release it," he said softly, "they'll come for us." Ilara knelt beside him, her voice gentle. "Sometimes, the right thing doesn't need safety," she said. "Sometimes, it just needs courage." He stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. "I trust you," he whispered. Ilara smiled faintly. "Then let's save your world." She placed her hand on his and pressed the final command. The core exploded in light. Energy waves spread across the moon, racing into the sky. The ruins trembled as if waking from 1,000-year sleep. The guardian's voice grew soft, fading with the wind. "The promise is remembered," it said. And the galaxy will remember too. Alara shielded her eyes from the light. Outside, the sky turned into a sea of blue fire. The power shot into the stars, reaching across systems. Every ship, every scanner, every mind across the galaxy saw it. The galactic commander stared at the bright signal and said coldly, "Lock onto that moon, prepare for destruction." But down on Kareth, Alara stood tall. The ground shook beneath her. The air crackled with energy. She looked at Ari and whispered, "Let them come." Ari's small hands glowed brighter than ever. The heart of Vorin inside him merged with the core's energy. For the first time, he felt the voices of his ancestors calling him home. Alara smiled through the chaos, her eyes full of light and defiance in that moment. She wasn't just one human woman. She was the bridge between two worlds, the living proof that compassion could defy the galaxy itself. The temple walls split open, releasing beams of light into the heavens. Every star seemed to flicker in answer, and in that radiant storm, Alara whispered to herself, "If kindness is a crime, then I'll never stop breaking the law." The sky above the moon of Kareth was no longer dark. It burned with blue fire, waves of light spreading like ripples through space. Every starship in orbit turned toward that glow, and inside each one, alarm screamed, the forbidden signal of the ancient energy. The core of memory had awakened, and with it, the galaxy had remembered the promise. Alara stood on the temple steps, wind whipping through her hair, her clothes torn, her face lit by the rising energy storm. Ari stood beside her, his small hands glowing brighter with every second. "The heart. It's calling," he said softly. "It wants to reach the others," Alara nodded. "Then let it." Her voice was calm but full of fire. Above them, the first warships appeared, breaking through the clouds. Their metal bodies glimmered like blades in the blue light. "Human vessel identified," a cold mechanical voice echoed from the sky. "Target Alara Voss, high threat." Ari flinched, looking at her. "They're here for you." Alara smiled faintly. "They think I'm the danger." The ground trembled as plasma beams struck the moon's surface. Explosions shook the ruins, sending dust and light into the air. Alara grabbed Ari and pulled him behind a fallen pillar. "Stay down!" she shouted. The blasts hit closer, melting stone and steel. Ari's voice trembled. "We can't fight them." Alara looked at him, eyes fierce. "We won't fight them," she said. "We'll show them." She pulled a small transmitter from her bag, a relic from the old world. It connected directly to the galactic network. Ari watched as she tuned the frequency. "What are you doing?" he asked. Alara smiled softly. "Something stupid and human." She pressed the button, and her voice went out across the stars. Her message echoed through every ship, every planet, every living being connected to the network. "My name is Alara Voss," she said, her voice calm but full of emotion. "I know what you've been told about kindness." She paused, taking a deep breath. "You've been told it's weakness, that helping others makes you a traitor, but you're wrong." Her words carried like light. Kindness is not a weakness, it's the only thing that ever changed anything. In command ships across the fleet, officers froze. Humans and aliens alike stared at their screens. Listening, Alara continued, "I can't pay you for your mercy. I can't promise you safety, but I can promise you this: if we stop helping each other, we stop being alive." Her eyes glistened as she spoke. "I found a child dying in the rain, and I chose to help him. Now that choice might destroy me, but I'd make it again." Ari looked at her, his eyes filled with tears. "You're telling them the truth," he whispered. Alara smiled softly. "Someone has to." Then she looked at the sky, where hundreds of ships hovered, ready to strike. Her voice grew stronger. "Do what you want to me," she said. "But remember this, I'm just one human, and yet I chose compassion over fear. Imagine what the galaxy could become if everyone did the same." The broadcast spread faster than any weapon. Across distant planets, people stopped what they were doing. Soldiers hesitated, captains lowered their orders. Even machines paused, confused by the message that didn't fit their logic. In one of the command ships, an old officer whispered, "She sounds like the first humans who built the promise." Back on the moon, Ari's glow intensified. The core responded to Alara's words, pulsing brighter. The energy that once slept beneath Kareth now roared to life. Ari cried out, "It's listening to you!" Alara took his hand. "Then let's finish this together." They walked to the center of the ruins as light swirled around them. The heart of Vorin within Ari began to resonate with the core. A beam of blue light shot into the sky, reaching the nearest warship instead of destroying it. The light spread through its systems. The ship stopped firing. Inside, the soldiers felt warmth instead of fear. It wasn't a weapon. It was empathy turned into energy. More ships began to glow, one after another. Some tried to resist, but the power was too pure, too deep. It connected to every living mind it touched. The war stopped, not by force, but by feeling. The commanders shouted orders, "Stop the transmission!" But it was too late. The message had become part of the network itself. Ari's body shone brighter than ever. He turned to Ilara, tears running down his glowing cheeks. "It's too strong." "I can't hold it." Ilara grabbed his shoulders. "You can, because you're not alone." The energy surged again. For a moment, the whole galaxy lit up like dawn. From distant worlds to forgotten stations, people saw the same vision. A human woman and a small alien standing together under a storm of light. The ancient promise had returned, Ilara whispered. "If kindness can reach the stars, maybe there's hope after all." Ari smiled faintly. "Thank you for everything." Then the light swallowed them both. The moon fell silent. The ships in orbit stopped moving. The storm faded into soft blue mist where the temple once stood. Only a single glowing mark remained. A circle of light engraved into the stone. No one fired another shot. No one spoke. They all felt something they hadn't felt in centuries. Peace. On every planet, in every system, the same message appeared across screens and devices. It was Ilara's voice, soft and endless. "I can't pay you, but kindness will always find a way." Silence filled the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, no ships fired, no world screamed, no empire roared for control. Only peace, soft and fragile, drifted between the stars. The blue light from the moon of Kareth spread through space like a heartbeat. Then slowly it faded into darkness, leaving behind calm skies and quiet souls. On every screen, in every city, Ilara's last words echoed, "I can't pay you, but kindness will always find a way." Many didn't understand it at first, but something in her voice stayed. It sank deep into people's hearts like a seed waiting for light. Weeks passed. The Galactic Council denied what had happened. They called it a data glitch, a false signal, a myth. But stories began to spread anyway. Whispers in spaceports, rumors in crowded markets. They said a human woman and a small alien had stopped a war without firing a single weapon. They said the light of Kareth changed people, and that once you saw it, you could never go back to hate. In time, the Council lost control. The fleet stopped obeying violent orders. Worlds began to rebuild. Humans reached out to Vorin survivors, offering food, medicine, and peace. Trade ships replaced warships, and the name Ilara Voss became a symbol for something long forgotten. Hope, far away on the edge of the Milky Ring, stood a small world called Lunara. It was quiet, peaceful, filled with gardens and glowing rivers. There a statue stood at the city center, a woman holding a small alien child in her arms. Beneath it, words glowed softly. "Kindness is not a price, it is a promise." Children gathered around the statue every night. Old travelers told the same story again and again. How one human had saved a dying alien child, how that child carried the heart of his people, and how together they awakened the promise of the galaxy. No one knew exactly where they went after the light, but everyone felt they were still out there watching from the stars years later. The galaxy was different. The old laws were rewritten. The Kindness Act became the foundation of the new galactic code. It stated, "No act of compassion shall ever be treated as a crime." For the first time, humans and aliens shared power, and the galaxy was not ruled by fear but by understanding. Ari grew older, his body still marked with faint blue light. He became the new leader of the Vorin people, but he never called himself emperor. He called himself the keeper of the promise. Every speech he gave began with Ilara's words, "I can't pay you, but thank you." Under his rule, no weapon was built without purpose, no world was left starving, and no child, human or alien, was ever left alone in the rain. Ari often looked at the stars at night and whispered softly, "Are you watching me, Ilara?" And somewhere in the endless dark he felt her warmth in the wind. A whisper carried through the galaxies, "Yes, I am." The moon of Kareth became sacred ground. Pilgrims from thousands of systems visited its ruins. They called it the Cradle of Mercy. The same temple where Alara had once stood now glowed faintly with blue light. At night, if you stood quietly, you could hear echoes of her voice in the wind, not words, but a feeling, a calm reminder that even in the coldest universe, warmth still existed. Centuries passed, but the legend never died. It became the first story taught to every child in the galaxy. The human who shouldn't exist, they called her. Because she had done what no law, no army, no empire ever could, she cared. Her story was told not as history but as truth, because the galaxy itself had seen it, felt it, and changed because of it. And in the deep archives of the Galactic Hall, there was a small message capsule sealed in glass. It was found floating near Kareth years after the battle. Inside was Alara's final recording. Her voice soft, gentle, and human. "If someone finds this, please remember what we started," she said. "Don't build walls between hearts, build bridges instead." She paused, her voice trembling slightly. "Kindness isn't weakness. It's the only power worth having." The message ended with static, but her tone stayed alive across generations. Many believed it wasn't just a message, it was her soul. Some said the light of Kareth still burned faintly in her name, a blue star that never went out, and those who saw it from their ships would whisper, "She's still out there." In the end, Alara Voss didn't just save one alien child, she saved the meaning of being alive. Her choice in a rainy alley had broken a law but healed a universe.
She had proved that the smallest act of mercy could echo through galaxies. Her name became eternal, not because she fought, but because she cared. Ari, now old and wise, stood once more at the statue built in her honor. He placed his glowing hand on the stone and whispered, "I can't pay you, Alara." The wind moved softly through the trees, and a faint voice answered in the air, "You already did." The stars above shimmered brighter that night. The blue one in the middle flickered gently. It looked like a heartbeat, a sign that somewhere, beyond all worlds, kindness still lived, and always would.